Hey everyone, Oak Norton here with Scripture Notes, and at some point in everyone's spiritual life, you owe it to yourself to study the prophecies of Isaiah. In fact, it's not just a good idea, it's actually a commandment. The Lord said, "A commandment I give unto you, that ye search these things diligently, for great are the words of Isaiah." So why is it so important to study the words of prophecy? Well, an obvious first response would be so we aren't caught off guard and we know what to expect. But a less obvious answer might be so we are better able to participate in the events and be on the right side of them. We don't want to be unaware, but we do want to make sure we're on God's side, participating by doing our part. And we can be an active participant in fulfilling prophecy. So how do you get started? Well, years ago I was called as a gospel doctrine Sunday school teacher, and I knew I wanted to understand Isaiah better because I was largely clueless about Isaiah. So I purchased a set of audio files by Dr. Abraham Gileadi, and as he read and commented on each verse, I took notes and my understanding started to blossom. Now, I'm no Isaiah scholar by any stretch like he is, but I feel much more comfortable with the text once I paid the price and put in some effort. Now, how can you benefit from this using Scripture Notes? Well, built right into Scripture Notes are links to Dr. Gileadi's own Isaiah translation based on more recently discovered documents. We also have his audio files, his commentary, and much more. So let me show you what you have access to. In the Scripture Notes library, you'll find the King James Version of the Bible, which has obviously Isaiah in it. It's been used for hundreds of years. And we also have Dr. Gileadi's translation called the Isaiah Institute translation. And when studying Isaiah, Dr. Gileadi very carefully retranslated the text with an especially watchful eye to ensure that specific word translations were consistent across the text. So you could do text searches and find parallel meanings. So words like rod and mouth and tree all have meanings, and a consistent translation is critical when it's one giant prophetic view of the last days, and you don't want to mix up meanings between the words. So that is available to you right here in Scripture Notes. Second, you can actually open up search panes and filter for the Isaiah Institute translation or the King James Version. And so, for example, if I did a search for the word rod, which has a very specific meaning in Isaiah's writings, and I look at Dr. Gileadi's translation, he has 9 verses with the word rod in, but the King James Version has 10. Why does his have one less? Well, the verse that's different is right here, Isaiah 10:26, and I'm not going to tell you what it is in Dr. Gileadi's translation. You need to go look that up, because there's a reason that his translation does not use the word rod. And understanding a little about Isaiah, you'd understand exactly why that is. So go take a look for that. Third, resources. At the top of every chapter, there's an R button. And that will, if you click that, it will open up these resource panels. And each resource panel has, certain things that we've linked to for your benefit so that you can further study that content. And so let me just show you real quick here. Let me move my little video picture down. The Isaiah Institute is on both of these, both for the Isaiah Institute translation and for the King James Version. So whichever version you're reading or studying at the moment, you can still access these resources, and they are fantastic resources. The first thing you'll notice here, there's a 4-part video series, and that has been done by Rachel Faulkner and Rachel Sutherland. And so if you click one of these videos, like this play video button, it's actually going to open up right over here next to the scriptures. So as you're watching the video, you can be taking notes right next to it in these note fields. That is super helpful. And if you want, you can even make this video panel a little bigger, dragging these 3 dots on the side. Either way, it'll scale to the size of the window as you're viewing it. Now, let me close this one. If you click on the show notes next to one of their videos, it will actually open up their slide deck from their presentation. So if you're watching their presentation and you're like, oh, I need to go check out the slides, something that they posted there, you can access that from the show notes, and that's really awesome. The next one, and that's a 4-part high-level overview of Isaiah. So it's sort of like your 30,000-foot view, and really does a fantastic job of overviewing exactly what you're studying. And as you go through these, you'll notice like there's a play video button. There's a completed button up here as well. So if you check or uncheck that button, it will sync up so that you know when you've completed something if you're looking at the resources later. All right, so the next one on the list here is Isaiah chapter 1. Now, if I hit play audio, this is actually going to open up Dr. Gileadi's own audio commentary for this chapter. So you can hit play and listen and take your notes exactly as he's going through each of the verses. He'll read a verse and then he'll make comments on it, and you can take notes. And this is how I learned. This is how I did it 20 years ago or whatever it was. Also, if you click the show notes next to that audio, it will take you to his Isaiah Explained website, which is a fantastic resource. This is like the best place to study Isaiah, and it's linked to right from scripture notes. So you can grab something here, copy paste it back into your notes, or just take notes as he's talking. Either way, this content right here, here's verse 1, down here is his commentary on it, and he's not going to just read this in his commentary. He's explaining it in his own words, but it is essentially the same exact content. So you can either read it or listen to him, and you're going to get basically the same content. But sometimes it is nice, if he makes a comment, to come back right over here and look at the date or look at maybe he has a slightly different way of explaining it here or whatever. But either way, it is fantastic. Now, I want to point out one more thing on his site here. If you scroll down a little bit, there's some Isaiah resources here, and I'll get to one of those in just a minute. And then there's these Isaiah video vignettes. And if you've never seen these, let me tell you, you might think initially they're a motion slideshow of scriptures from Isaiah being read. So you're going to listen to a 20-minute, each one of these is 20 minutes. You're going to listen to that, scriptures from Isaiah with pictures. Now, some of you are going, oh, why would I ever want to do that? And let me tell you, when I told my children that were like preteen to teen years ago, I announced one night that we were going to watch one of these. Let me tell you, they were not excited about watching a slideshow on someone named Isaiah. After the first video, they wanted to watch the next one right then. And as we still had time before bed, they actually requested the third one that night. So we watched a full hour of these. They're that engaging. You don't want to miss these. That really tells you everything you need to know about these, because then we watched the next 4 within the next few days. They wanted to watch them. They're really engaging because they're set up thematically. They're visually engaging about what Isaiah is talking about all across his prophecy. And so that is a great way actually to do like an introduction of Isaiah for yourself or your family. It's a fantastic resource. Now, one thing that I don't have set up yet in scripture notes, if I come back here, let me close that audio. And from these scriptures, there's this little link icon next to each verse. Now, I don't have these set up on the Isaiah Institute translation over here. They're only on the King James Version right now. These let you go out to sites like Bible Hub, Blue Letter Bible, LDS Citation Index, or look at the Joseph Smith translation with an inline comparison. Now, Blue Letter Bible is a fantastic website. I find myself on it almost every day, it seems. Up here, if you click Strong's, you can then come down and see the Hebrew meaning of these words. So if I click into the one by Vision, I can see this is Hazon. And I don't think I probably pronounced it exactly right, but you can listen to somebody pronounce it right here with this audio button. And then you can scroll down and see what the Strong's exhaustive concordance definitions are. And you can also scroll down further and see everywhere that word is used in the Old Testament. And so this is a great resource out here on Blue Letter Bible. Love that site. Okay, one last thing, sharing what you learn. So you can actually now, just as of recently, we just added the ability to share content from scripture notes. So let's take, for example, this verse here, Isaiah 49:2. He has made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand, he hid me. He has made me into a polished arrow. In his quiver, he kept me secret. Now, this is talking about the Davidic servant. And so I got curious about the phrase, he hid me, because it reminded me of another verse about the Lord hides sometimes his servants. And so I started doing searches on the scriptures, and I created a little collection with 13 verses here. And this is a collection note. It's when you bring verses together, you can say you want to make one a favorite or however many you want, and it puts them at the top, which is really helpful if you have a huge collection note and there's a few key verses you always want to see first. And then you have an area up here to type as much as you want, and you can expand this pane, and so you have this master note up here at the top, and you can tag it and title it, and now you can share these things. And so if I click this share link up here at the top, you can see I've got some options. I can share the master note and the scriptures. I could share the scriptures only. I can put an expiration on it. If I say, okay, I'm going to put this out there publicly, but I'm only going to share it for a month or whatever, you can put an expiration on it so it disappears. And you can even say, I want to make it read-only. I don't want anybody to change my master note because of the way I'm releasing it. I want it to be preserved with my own language. And if somebody wants to, they could bulk copy your verses into a new collection note where they make their own notes. But at least on yours, you can choose to make it read-only if you want. And I just hit generate link, and then it creates this link that I can copy. And now I can paste that into an email or social media site or wherever I want to put it and share that with people. And you can see right up here at the top of this collection note, it now says shared. And there's ways to take a look, to see what you've shared and stuff. But if you want more information, click help, this question mark icon on the left, and look at training video 8, sharing collection notes. That goes into a lot more depth on it. And so here's the really cool thing. After spending some time the last few days, I have been putting together a massive collection of Dr. Gileadi's 30 end-time events from Isaiah's prophecy. Collection notes that you can now click on and access all the scriptures that go into these. And this comes right off his same website, Isaiah Explained. This is what I said I was going to come back to. This one right here, Isaiah's Ancient Types of End-Time Events. This page contains these 30 events. And so what I do in each of the collection notes is I link to this page, and you can study item 1 with all the scriptures that are listed there, and you can make your own notes and save it, and you'll have a couple different ways that I explain on that page of accessing it. Aside from, it'll be tied to all of the scriptures that he links to. So there may be 50 scriptures in one of these, and so anywhere you find one of those and click it, you'll see, oh, this is, item 16 on Isaiah's Ancient Types of End-Time Events, and you can get back into that note very quickly. Okay, and I'll just show you back here on these. If you have a green eye next to a verse and you click that, it will show you the collection notes that verse is part of, and then you can just click those to open it back up. So that's a great way to learn, to study by topic on these 30 different end-time events that he's put together. You can find these either on my website at scripturenotes.com. Just do a search up here at the top right for end time events, or Isaiah's 30 end time events, or Dr. Abraham Gileadi. Or you may be on another website. You may be on one of Dr. Gileadi's websites or somewhere, and he shares collection notes as well. So either way, get those, and you can start to study those one at a time and go to his commentary and get his insights and make your own notes so that you are becoming familiar with and an expert on those topics. And I would just say in closing that it really doesn't matter how you choose to start to study Isaiah, if it's the vignettes or those end time events or the overview videos, however you choose to start. The important thing is just to start, because you don't want to delay. You want to understand what is happening in the future, and your prophetic destiny may depend on it. So I highly encourage you to go to Dr. Gileadi's website, use these resources we've built into scripture notes to make it easy for you, to make that very accessible, and just start today. It's well worth the time and the investment of time that you would put into it. With that, I'll see you next time.